Right, now I'm going to show you how to do a wire basket, which takes a little bit longer, but it really does make a stunning basket that well repays the extra effort. The first thing to mention is that some wire baskets are almost impossible to plant because the holes are too small and you can't get your plant through them. So go for a basket with fairly generous size holes. Second thing is, if it's a round bottom bowl, when you come to do it, it'll be rocking around like that. And so if it's a round bowl, then you can always stand it in a bucket. But if it's got a flat bottom, it makes it so much easier to do. So here we are. This is a 16-inch flat bottomed wire basket. Next question that people ask is, how many plants do I need for this basket? Well, as a rough rule of thumb, work on a minimum of 1 plant per inch diameter. So for a 16-inch basket, you need a minimum of 16 plants. Some plants, if they're small, you might only count them as a half. So 16 to 18, maybe 20 if you want to be generous. So here we are. Now, what we're going to do now, we're going to employ what I call the lasagna method of making a basket. You're building it up in layers. So the first thing you do is you get some moss. You can buy liners, but I prefer to use the moss because you can see as I progress, by building it up in layers, you can get plants through the side. So a bit of moss in the bottom. You don't have to be too pernickety about how you do this, as long as you're stopping the compost falling through the holes. That's all you need. Now the first little trick, you see I've gone about a third of the way up there. First little trick is a bit of old polythene off her bag. If you've got a black side, so much the better. Put that in the bottom, black side down. And the idea of that is when you water it, the water doesn't all fall straight through and straight out onto your feet. People can sometimes, if they've got some old crockery they want to get rid of, put an old plate or a saucer or something like that in the bottom, serves the same purpose. So there we are, phase 1. So then we build that up with compost. A bit of plastic showing there, so I'm going to put a bit more moss. So there we are, we're a third of the way full with compost. So now we plant the first layer of plants through the side. And for that you need what I call blobby plants. Ones that don't grow vigorously upwards and don't grow vigorously downwards. Plants that are happy in the side, sort of flopping a bit and growing up a bit. This one that I used in the straw basket, Lysimachia Midnight Sun, this one's called. That's quite useful. Now, the other big controversy is whether you put your leaves through from the inside or the roots through from the outside. It doesn't matter a damn really, whichever's the most convenient, whatever's going to cause the least damage to the plant. So I'm going to go around here and put plants in alternate holes at this level. So that's number 1. The next one I'm going to use is this Calibrachoa. This one's yellow, but you can get Calibrachoas in probably 10 different colours, and they used to be called Million Bells. So why they changed the name to Calibrachoa, I don't know. Because Million Bells was a bit like it does what it says on the tin. They create millions of flowers, like they're derived from a petunia. They're like a miniature petunia flower, and they produce a mass of blooms. So that can go through there. Later on I'll point one particular Calibrachoa out to you that's really stunning and is one of our best sellers. This one is a great plant for the side of a basket. It's called Brachicum. And it's a miniature Michaelmas daisy. You put that through. I've got here a trailing geranium, or to be more precise, an ivy leaf pelargonium to give its proper name. and you can get these in all sorts of colours. This one's a cream and pink. Now this one is going to be a bit more difficult to get through the hole, particularly these chains in the way. There we are. You can see how it eats up the plants now, because I've still got another two to go at this layer. So another Calibrachoa now I'm going to put in, which is a completely different colour. This one here is pink eye. So I'll put that in there. And then we want one more plant for there. This is quite a nice plant for the outside. It's called Bidens, and these are always in yellows and oranges. This one's called Blazing Glory. Incidentally, if there are any Wolves fans watching, 2 of those in a basket plus a black petunia and you've got a Molyneux supporting hanging basket. There we are. So now that's our first third done. So back to the moss, and you tease out your moss into little strips and you put it round like a collar round the plants you've just planted, stopping the plants pouring out and coming up to the next layer of your wires. There we are. That's that stage, which we now fill up with compost to the next level. There we are. So we're ready for the next layer of plants, which I'm going to put next layer up, but in between the plants that I've previously put in. So the choice is yours, but I haven't used a fuchsia yet, so I'm going to put a fuchsia in here. This one's called Deep Purple. There are trailing fuchsias and upright fuchsias. For the sides I would use a trailing fuchsia. If you're going to put one in the middle, I'd use an upright. This is another Calibrachoa, a double one this time, double blue that one's called. I'll put that there. A trailing verbena. Which I'll put through there. So I need another 3 or 4 plants. So working on the principle that you need at least 1 white plant, I'm going to put this white bacopa in there. Another trailing verbena in pink. Which leaves me space for 1 more. For the last plant of this layer, I'm going to use this Diasia. It's called Diamond Light Pink. It's got a lovely delicate flower on, and it's good for the side of a basket. The other thing with this Diasia, it's very hardy for hanging basket plants, and you can sometimes get it to survive another year if you dig it out of your basket and stick it in a tub or something. There we are. So that's layer number 2 done. So now moss up again to the top of there. So now we fill right up to the top with compost. There we are, ready for the final layer. Now, instead of trying to get things to go downhill, you want something in the middle to give it height. So make it a nice little hole, and I'm going to use this upright geranium here, which is salmon pink, which is a nice colour that seems to blend in with most things. Put that in the middle. That'll double in height, so that'll be up to here by the time you finish. So now you want things to cascade over the side. Right, now finally we want the trailing plants around the top layer. And if there is one rule of making wire hanging baskets, it's this, that you should cover periodically the edge of the wire so that you can't see the rim running all the way around. The hanging baskets that I think look dreadful are the ones where from the wire down everything's trailing down, and from the wire up everything's going up, and it's almost like two baskets sandwiched together and you can see the join. So you don't want that. So the first thing you've got to do is try and obscure that wire. What I'm using here is Lobelia richardii, which is a perennial lobelia, cutting raised perennial lobelia. It has blue flowers on like the traditional lobelia, but the tendrils can be guaranteed to cascade down and cover the edge. So in the gaps between the plants on the previous layer, you start putting those in like that. You see already that's covering the edge. Right. Next thing that's guaranteed to cover the edge is a Saphinia petunia. This one here is called pink vein, and you can see from its growth habit that already it's making terrific long tendrils, and they will cascade down. So this takes up quite a bit of space. So I'm looking for a place where there's a biggish gap, which I think is probably here. So I'm going to put that one in there. 45-degree angle, you see I'm putting them in at, so that you're already pushing the plant forward rather than back. So we'll need something else here. This Lysimachia Goldilocks is also guaranteed to cascade over, so I like to put one of those in the top. There we are. Remember we used a white bacopa and layer down. This is the same thing, but it's in pink. So I'm going to find a space for that, which that looks like a useful place. So one more plant in there, which I'm going to use another foliage plant. I'm going to use this Nepeta, which will be guaranteed to cascade over there. So there we are. So we need a bit of compost now to fill up the gaps. And finally I'm going to feed it. So these feed tablets that you can get, you want about 6, just poke them down. And they will slowly release feed. I'm going to put 7 in this one. Slowly release feed all through the summer and save you the job, at least in the first half of the summer. You might need to feed it when it gets later on into August maybe, but certainly in the short term that'll give it enough feed to keep going. So there we are, and that's your basket.